Did you know that you can get almost every single mythical Pokemon right now in 2024? Whether you're trying to complete a living dex or just trying to catch them all, I think this is the guide for you. My name's Mitch, aka Mitch Mortar, and I'm going to show you right now. If you don't know what a mythical Pokemon is, it's pretty much just like a legendary, but mythical Pokemon are particularly rare because they're only given out during like events, distributions, stuff like that, and not really obtainable via normal gameplay. Typically, these Pokemon are given out during like distributions or in-person events, and typically these events usually expire. Thankfully for you, this list contains pretty much every single mythical Pokemon that you can get right now, today. The ones that I'm going to be labeled unobtainable, there are still ways to get them. That being said, mythical Pokemon span through the entire franchise, so we're going to need a few games in order to actually get all of them. So the games required to get all of the mythical Pokemon are going to be Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, I know, ugh. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. This one's pretty much just for Deoxys. Legends Arceus is going to be a big one. Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And with having 3DS games on this list, we're going to need Pokemon Bank. And obviously, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you have access to Pokemon Home as well. A big one that I think people really sleep on is going to be Pokemon Go. Like, there are a lot of mythical Pokemon that we can actually get in Pokemon Go that aren't even available in the mainline games right now. So we're going to be talking about Go a lot, but like Go is kind of going to be like our backup plan. So with that said, we're going to start with the mythical Pokemon Mew. Now, we did just get like a distribution for Mew in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. However, this event has already expired, so it's no longer accessible via the code that was given out during that time. So in order to get it now, you're going to want to have access to a Pokeball Plus. This product, if you buy off of like the store shelves, which I don't even know if you can find it on shelves anymore, goes for about 50 bucks and has a Mew built in. You can take your Mew from your Pokeball Plus, transfer it into Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then transfer it into Home. Now, you don't actually need the Pokeball Plus to get Mew, as long as you already have a copy of Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee and a copy of BDSP, because if you talk to this couple in Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl, then as long as you have a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee save file on your Switch, then this couple right here will give you a Mew. Thanks, guys. Also, if you are a Pokemon Go player and you haven't finished the Mythical Discovery research task yet, that will give you a Mew. Next up, we have Celebi. Celebi is going to be a little difficult to get if you don't have a 3DS. Really, the only way to get Celebi right now is by playing Pokemon Crystal on the 3DS's Virtual Console, catching it, and then transferring it into Bank and then into Home. If you don't have Bank on your 3DS, unfortunately, you cannot get it anymore since the 3DS eShop is down. But luckily, that's why we have Pokemon Go. If you complete the A Ripple in Time event, then you can catch yourself a Celebi and then transfer it into Home. Next up is Jirachi. Prior to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, really the only way to get Jirachi is by having the Pokemon Coliseum bonus disc for the GameCube and then transferring the Pokemon from the GameCube to the Game Boy Advance, then to Transporter. No, then from Game Boy Advance to DS, then to Pokemon Transporter, then to Pokemon Bank, and then to Home. And it was like this long, drawn-out process, but as long as you have a Sword and Shield save file, again, you can visit this very lovely couple in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then they will give you a Jirachi to then transfer into Pokemon Home. Again, you can also do the 1,000-year slumber research task in Pokemon Go in order to get yourself a Jirachi. Next, we have Deoxys. You can get yourself a Deoxys by completing the main story of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then completing the Delta episode. Personally, I think the Delta episode is probably one of the most hype things ever to grace a Pokemon game. So complete the Delta episode and catch yourself a Deoxys and then transfer it to Bank and then into Home. Again, if you don't have Bank, then there's really no other way to get it. Deoxys does like to rotate in and out of Pokemon Go raids, so you can either get it in ORAS and transfer it up, but if you can't do that, really I think your only best option is to just wait for it to come out in Pokemon Go. Next, we have Phione and Manaphy. Now, to get both Phione and Manaphy, we have to do request number 66 in Pokemon Legends Arceus called the Seas Legend. Now, once you follow all the steps, you'll be graced with a kind of mass outbreak, but not really mass outbreak of Phione and Manaphy. Catch them, transfer them, and you're done. So Pokemon Legends Arceus, as I said, is a pretty big one because all of the mythicals for Gen 4 are accessible in Pokemon Legends Arceus through normal gameplay. So you will always, as long as you have Legends Arceus, you will always have access to these mythicals. For instance, Darkrai, you can just catch in Legends Arceus, and Arceus, you can obviously catch in Legends Arceus. If you don't have Legends Arceus, Darkrai does also like to rotate in and out of raids in Pokemon Go. I think we just actually ended like a rotation that included Darkrai, so he probably won't be back for a while. Shaman is also accessible in Pokemon Go. It seems to be coming back like a lot in like ticketed, like purchasable research tasks. But again, if you have Legends Arceus, you can just catch it in there. So on to Gen 5, we have Victini. We just got a distribution for Victini in Sword and Shield. So I don't think we're going to be getting a Victini distribution for quite some time. So really the only way to get Victini right now is by doing the investigate a mysterious energy research task in Pokemon Go and then trading it up. Keldeo is a pretty simple one to get. If you have played through all the Sword and Shield, including the DLC, then you already have access to it. All you have to do is capture Terrakion, Virizion, and Cobalion. Then you'll be able to encounter Keldeo. Genesect, I feel like, is one of like the more rare mythicals because I feel like it hasn't gotten a lot of distributions in, you know, the past like decade or so. So I'm gonna go and say that it's almost unobtainable. It does come into raids in Pokemon Go sometimes, but the thing with the Gen 5, all of the Gen 5 like mythicals that have been given away via distribution, if you watch this video from KevDog, he goes through an exploit with the Pokemon, or he goes through an exploit with the DNS settings on the Nintendo 3DS, and changing these settings to like a certain IP address will pretty much give you access to every single Gen 5 distribution event. So that includes Genesect, I believe Hoopa as well, and maybe even Victini, probably Victini, and maybe Meloetta. I don't know. I'm not really too sure like what Pokemon in Black and White were given out as events or not. Speaking of Meloetta, if you have the Indigo Disc DLC, you're actually able to catch Meloetta just in Scarlet and Violet. If you go to this area in the terrarium and find this specific spot where the wind likes to swirl around you, if you spin around clockwise, I think it's for like 10 seconds, and then you open up your camera and turn on the sepia filter, then Meloetta will spawn. I don't know who found this out, but thank you so much. Next up, we have Hoopa. So Hoopa, as I said, you're going to want to probably do like the DNS exploit with your 3DS if you have one. Other than that, really, the only way to get Hoopa right now is going to be through Pokemon Go. Doing the misunderstood mischief research task.
Hey, it's Mitch. I'm pretty sure I said Hoopa was a Gen 5 Pokemon. Hoopa is Gen 6, so you cannot get it with the DNS exploit. So, sorry about that. My bad.
I do have a feeling that Hoopa is going to be coming in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, though, because Scarlet and Violet is kind of like reaching the end of its life cycle, and they like to just like spam like mythical and like legendary distributions, kind of like at the end of Sword and Shield. I would probably wait for Hoopa if you don't want to go through Go. I'm just guessing that's going to be coming soon, but it's a possibility. Next, we have Magearna. Now, Magearna is like a mythical Pokemon, but you can get it without actually needing to do an event. So in Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, there were these island scan things, and pretty much you can like use your camera to scan like a QR code, and depending on that code, you would get like a specific Pokemon. So this QR code for Magearna is hard-coded into the game, so it shouldn't expire like at all. Meaning that if you have Sun and Moon right now, then you can access your Magearna right now. Next up, we have Marshadow. Now, Marshadow was given away at the end of Sword and Shield, so I don't think we're going to be getting a distribution anytime soon. However, Pokemon Go Fest 2024, which is this year, is going to be featuring Marshadow, so we'll be able to get our hands on Marshadow this year during Pokemon Go Fest. Now, there are in-person ones. There is going to be a 2-day global event like in years past. So if you live anywhere near a city or something, I highly recommend you do this event because I've gone to every Pokemon Go Fest like globally in the past like 4 or 5 years, and it is like always a blast. So if you want to have some fun getting this Pokemon, highly recommend doing Go Fest. Other than that, unfortunately, it's pretty unobtainable. And again, these Pokemon that I say are unobtainable, I'm going to be talking about how you can still get them at the end of the video. Speaking of unobtainable Pokemon, we have Zeraora. In the past, we got Zeraora in Sword and Shield from a little global challenge thing, where if 1 million Zeraora raids were completed, then anyone that did at least one Zeraora raid and had connected their account to Pokemon Home, they would get like a free level 100 shiny Zeraora. And that was honestly, I feel like mythicals should be like that. They should be behind a story or like behind a challenge. However, we don't have any way to get Zeraora right now. That was the last time he was given away. So again, it could be coming soon since we haven't seen it in a while. They could put all of these mythicals in 7-star raids, by the way. Like, we really don't know. Now for Meltan, you're going to have to play Pokemon Go, and to get it, you can either do the Let's Go Meltan research task, or you can simply just connect your Switch to your Pokemon Go account, and then you'll unlock this mysterious box thing. You can open this box once a week, and then it'll spawn Meltan for like, I think it's either 30 minutes or an hour, which is good because the only way to evolve Meltan into the next mythical, which is Melmetal, you need to evolve it in Pokemon Go using 400 Meltan candy. So just keep slapping on pineapple berries and keep throwing them balls at Meltan and get yourself a Melmetal. Next up, we have Zarude. Zarude was given away at the beginning of 2020 to celebrate the release of Secrets of the Jungle, or the Pokemon Coco movie, but that's really all we've seen since then. He is, or at least was, accessible in Pokemon Go, but we did get news recently that Zarude will be returning to Pokemon Go in the near future. So if you don't have access to a Zarude, then you can always just wait for it to become available in Pokemon Go and then just transfer it up. And for the final mythical Pokemon, we have the newly released Pecharunt, which came out after the Indigo Disc DLC dropped. Now to get Pecharunt in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you need to get the mythical Pechaberry using the Internet Mystery Gift. Now this will unlock the Moshi Mayhem storyline, which you need in order to access Pecharunt. And what you want to do is you're going to go over to this like market over here, and then there's going to be a Pecharunt plushie right here on the counter. And then you're going to talk to it, and that's going to trigger the event. And then you're going to go through the storyline, catch Pecharunt, and there you go. There you have it.
I also forgot to add Diancie and Volcanion to this list, both of which are going to be, I'm going to be considering unobtainable, but as I said, there are still ways to get it, and then I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this video. Also, something that I thought about while editing this video, with the Gen 6, like, Kalos Mythicals, so like with Legends Arceus, you were able to get every mythical Pokemon just in Legends Arceus with like no distribution, anything. Like you can get them through normal gameplay. So I think it's going to be safe to assume that we'll be able to do the same thing with Legends ZA. So we'll be able to get like Hoopa, Volcanion, all like the Gen 6 mythicals in Legends ZA. So that's cool.
So let's talk about some of the Pokemon that I said were unobtainable currently. So I said like Zarude, Marshadow, Zeraora, and Volcanion are currently, like, to my knowledge anyways, unobtainable without like hacking. So unfortunately, I think we're going to need to spend at least like a little bit of money, and we're going to be doing that on like eBay. So I got my Marshadow like after the event for Sun and Moon had ended. It was like one of those GameStop ones where you walked in, you got your code card, you left, and you put the code in and got your Marshadow. I missed that event. So what I did is like I looked online to see if I could buy that card. Now people will sell you the code, but the code has expired already. So people that have extra code cards have the Pokemon on their game, and then you buy the code card and they just trade you the Pokemon. These are like fairly inexpensive. I think my Marshadow was like $5. So we're looking at $20 to $30 to get all 4 of these. If you don't want to spend the money, you can always wait until these Pokemon come into Go, or I'm sure they'll come through events and distributions again at some point. If you want to stay up to date with the Pokemon distributions and stuff, I do make videos about them when they get announced, so hit that subscribe button. And also subscribe if you like Pokemon, because I make Pokemon content, obviously. I hope this video helped you guys out. See you in the next one. Peace.